To start with, when I say Rembrandt, people immediately think a painter, a painting. And that's logical because Rembrandt is famous nowadays as a painter. But in the 17th century, Rembrandt was not only a painter, he was also an etcher, a printmaker. And as far as I know, he was at that time much more famous as a printmaker than a painter. Of course, you'll ask me how. I have a very simple answer for it. He made roughly 300 paintings through his life and 300 etching plates. The 300 paintings he made, he sold them, 300 people bought them, hang them in their house or at their workplace, 300 people, family, friends, saw them. Etching plates, although they are also 300, but they differ from paintings. You can print from them several. Let's say he printed at least 10 prints from every plate. That makes it 3,000 prints. He sold them, 3,000 people bought them, hang them in their house or at their workplace, 3,000 people, family, friends saw them. The gap is huge between the two. You cannot compare them. If you were living in Amsterdam in the 17th century, the chance was much bigger. You saw a print of Rembrandt than a painting. You were to know Rembrandt earlier as a printmaker than a painter. I hope it sounds logical. How he made it? He got a copper plate. He covered it with a mixture of these three ingredients. Tar, asphalt, tear, beeswax, baivas, sibabe, ceradapi. Portuguese, I don't know. From the bees. Yeah, from the honey, but then the wax. And resin, hars, resina, from the trees. He mixed them together, he warms up his plate, and he puts a very thin layer of that on it. And then he takes a sharp pen and starts drawing. Once you touch with that sharp pen on that wax, wax is a very thin film, it falls out and copper gets exposed. So when you draw something, actually you're peeling off the wax and you're exposing copper from under it. Once your drawing is there, he surrounds it with walls of wax like this one. And he adds acid on it. The acid will bite any exposed copper. So it will bite actually the lines of your drawing in the plate. The longer you leave the acid, the deeper the grooves goes. Wherever it's still covered with wax, it's protected, nothing happens there. After a while, he takes the acid and the wax and everything away, and he has his drawing on the plate. He could still add up more lines if he likes by scratching it with a sharp pen. When you scratch with a sharp pen, you go deeper than the acid, so it will be darker lines than the acid lines. But also when you scratch, it comes some burr, small pieces of copper hanging around. They tend also to hold some ink, so it will be the lines will be dark, but also hazy, fuzzy because of the burr around it. A third technique is engraving, like goldsmiths they do. When you engrave, you go the deepest of them all. It will be the darkest lines you have, but also this doesn't leave any blur. It scoops everything away. It will be clean, sharp, dark lines with it. Rembrandt used all these techniques through each other, and that was something new at that time. People at that time used to use one technique at a time, mostly only the acid, and Rembrandt, by mixing all these techniques, he created different effects to his lines, and that made it special, unique, his work. Once the plate was ready, he covered it with ink. Like this. As you see, I'm pressing the ink in the grooves of the drawing. Everything has to be covered in ink. If some grooves are too deep to cover like this, you could also use this equipment, this puncher, to press ink in the grooves. It's made from dog leather. Of course, you will ask, why dog leather? Dogs, they sweat from their tongue. They don't have pores in their skin. So when you press here, it doesn't make any marks of the skin on the plate. The ink I'm using, it's also different than the ink nowadays. It's oil-based ink. Nowadays we use mostly water-based inks. It's made mainly from two ingredients. Black pigment, made from burnt bones of animals they ate, like pigs, cows and stuff. Sometimes dogs also if they die. And linseed oil, line oil, l'huile de lin.
That's very flammable, isn't it?
Sorry?
That's very flammable, isn't it?
It's flammable, yes, of course, for sure. It's actually the same way made as the paints they did it at that time. Only when they made it thick, they called it ink. When they made it soft, they called it paint. So this is actually thick black paint, actually, what I'm using. A kind of. So first, we cover the plate totally. It's flammable, but it's healthy. It comes from the seeds, superfood nowadays. Lines up, yeah. plastic. He used only black, but there were other artists like Hercules Segers, you say in English. He used colors also, because it's color actually. So he used also other colors, red, brown and stuff, but Rembrandt used only black. And I don't know why, but I could imagine even Rembrandt's paintings are sober with colors. He didn't have too much colors used. Maybe he didn't like colors too much. He liked to make expressions with so simple as possible. Once the plate is covered with ink, he used this kind of cloth to clean up the plate with. I will give you a fillet and pass it on. It's a rough cloth with holes in it. You have more here? It's a rough cloth with holes in it. We call it kaasdoek, cheesecloth. Dutch farmers used to make cheese in it. That's why it's called like that. Because it's rough, it has holes, it's handy to clean up with it. It takes easily excessive ink from the plate. Ik moet terug, hè? Dutch will think we can make cheese here. In the 17th century, when they cleaned up a plate like this, they tended to clean up the plate very good. They only left ink in the grooves of the drawing. That made it, when you print 100 times, you could print 100 times exactly the same thing. And Rembrandt thought, wait a minute, 100 times exactly the same thing, come on, that's boring. I'm an artist, I want unique pieces, he thought. So what he did, he cleaned up roughly, only the excessive ink. Still dark, he stops and starts thinking what he wants to achieve. Sad, melancholic moment, he keeps it dark, he prints it like that, the scenery is dark, people when they see it, they feel sad. If he wants happy moment, he cleans up very good, it will be a bright, sunny day, people when they see it, they feel happy. He could also make dark and light shades the way he likes it. And actually, every time he's printing a new version of his work. And that's what he did. Let's try that. First we clean up roughly. First we clean up roughly like that. Once roughly cleaned up, I will stop. I'll take my glove away, and by the way, Rembrandt didn't have gloves. And whatever I wanted lighter, I will clean up better. Whatever I wanted dark, I just leave it the way it is. And I do it the way Rembrandt did it, just with his hands. Like that. And this is the most important part of the thing, because it will give the tones of the shades in the scene. That's the artistic part of it, actually. And also it will take away the traces of this cloth that I cleaned up with. So it is double important. The only bad thing about it is that my wife doesn't like this. She tells me, you went to that museum again. She gets upset. I'm joking, I go clean myself. So I make light and dark, whatever I want light, I clean up better, whatever I want dark, I just leave it the way it is. And I play like that till it's done. I think I'm ready. Let's print and see what it is. All the ink from there. It's very important that it takes all the ink from that plate, because I gave a kind of shade and I want exactly that shade on this paper. If it doesn't take everything, it will be much lighter than what I want. Okay, I tell you, look, let's see. It will work or not. I put it like that and cover it. And who wants to turn the wheel?
You.
No. What's your name?
Ernani. It's difficult. Ernani.
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 Ernani. Okay, that's it. Keep turning. Don't keep turning. It's not easy, but Erna is very strong. Keep turning. Yeah. And stop. Let's see what Erna did. The moment of truth. Big applause for Ernani. He did a great job. Wow. As you see, I cleaned up here behind the tree better than the far away to make a contrast between dark and light. But I could clean up everything much better or a little bit darker than this. And that's exactly what Rembrandt did. Every time he's printing, he's cleaning up the plate differently. He has a different version of his work.